This is the Enjoyer Podcast. I'm your host, James Dixon. The Bible is full of orders that we fear God and be courageous toward men. Somewhere along the way, we got our wires crossed. Most times we do just the opposite. We ignore God, and because we have not asked for help, we fear men. When China came to open the Gotion factory down the street from Lori Brock's horse farm, Brock learned that her local government was not exactly the walls of Jericho. The people elected to represent her had tied their own hands and sealed their own mouths with non-disclosure agreements. No one had answers and no one offered advocacy. They had already signed off. Local officials in the Big Rapids area ignored everybody they could and threatened those they could not. A former Green Township supervisor actually made a Jimmy Hoffa reference on Facebook to one critic of the project. One day you think you live a good life in a stable community. The next day its leaders are using mafia tactics on behalf of the Chinese. What would you do when progress moves in next door? Lori Brock had a fine life. She was a horse farmer. She was a realtor. She had built her 150-acre spread over many years. She was enjoying a life that was built with intention. Then she learned that progress was moving in next door. She fought back. Brock said that when the No on Gotion movement got organized, she told the group, we all have to find our superpower. Well, Brock's superpower is bravery. It's the spirit of David, the willingness to take on a Goliath that appears to be unbeatable, and finding success in that fight. Everybody looks unbeatable until the rocks start slinging. That's when people look real human. That's when the secrecy and the non-disclosure agreements become toxic. That's when people wash their hands of anything to do with the appearance of supporting a Chinese company. And so now even Alyssa Slotkin, the Democrat running for our Senate seat in Michigan, she signed NDAs years ago on the Gotion project. She was eager to support it before the public turned against it. Now the tide has turned and Slotkin has flip-flopped. Hoping to shake the Shanghai Slotkin label, Slotkin recently spoke against the project on the grounds of national security. 2 years ago, Lori Brock was treated by town fathers as a pariah. Her real estate firm was bombarded with one-star reviews. The campaign against her was a yell, not a whisper. Years later, Brock is a Detroit News Michiganian of the Year. She spoke before thousands at the Republican State Convention in Flint. And no less than J.D. Vance, Ohio Senator, Donald Trump's running mate, the blurber of Unhumans, visited Brock's farm to speak against the Gotion project. And so now Slotkin, of all people, is a late adapter to the No on Gotion movement. In just 2 years, the Overton window has moved, and Gotion is outside of it. It was a grassroots effort from people like Lori Brock that moved it. Not even the Democrats who would love to globalize Michigan, or the Republicans who think that any job is a good job, even if those jobs are held by Chinese nationals, will defend the Gotion project anymore. The word Gotion is toxic. It's a hot potato. Nobody wants to touch it. When progress moved in next door, Lori Brock spoke up. She used her words. She talked back. She spoke out. And along the way, she learned that freedom is not free and courage is not without consequence. It's my pleasure today to welcome Lori Brock to the Enjoyer Podcast. Lori, thank you.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's an honor. I really appreciate you taking the time to hear our story.
Absolutely. I thank you for taking the time to do this. We'll start you off with an easy one, Lori. What do you enjoy about Michigan? What's your Michigan story?
Well, I grew up in Michigan, came to college in Michigan, fell in love with the Big Rapids area and decided this is where I was going to raise my children, live the rest of my life. Came here in about 40 years ago. So I've lived most of my adult life here. Started buying my farm in small pieces, 10 acres here, 20 acres here. The last piece I just bought was about 2 years ago, and it was the last 30 acres. So now I've got about a 150-acre horse farm. We also do Horses and Heroes programs to help local vets that have post-traumatic stress. I take in rescue animals. My daughters and I have loved the farm. We raise Frisian horses as well, and Coton de Tuileries puppies, and it has been a blessing to have that farm. It's beautiful. It's agriculturally zoned. We have a big, probably a 7 acre trout pond in the front of the property.
That's incredible.
It's a little piece of heaven on earth. So we're thrilled to have it and very, very blessed to have that.
How long did it take you to build that spread to its current size?
I started buying it, and I believe it was 2006, and so it's been a while.
Okay,
Yep,
little less than 20 years.
yep.
And are you done, or are you going to keep expanding?
No, I think we are exactly where we need to be. We have enough room for everything that we're doing, and I don't want to be greedy. That land is gorgeous, and other people can have it as well. We've got exactly what I need. We have enough room to. We do organic. We grow our own hay for the animals as well, and it's all done organically. And we're able to produce as much as we need for the year. So we're exactly where I need to be right now.
September always makes me think about 9/11, and
Mhm.
specifically 9/10.
Yeah.
I was 17 years old. I was a senior in high school back then. And I remember distinctly driving home from high school and passing a gas station and seeing dollar a gallon gas uh, that Monday, 9/10, and thinking, just grab it tomorrow. What's the rush? I mean, that life was good. We were rolling.
Hmm.
And then life all changes the very next day, and has never been the same since. I've never seen those numbers again
Hmm.
23 years later. What's your 9/10 story before you learned of the Gotion project? Like, what was life like, and then how do you learn that China's moving in and going to be your neighbor?
Well, as you said, life was really good back then. At that time, I had one baby, and then I was pregnant for my other daughter. I mean, it's so funny that if we've been through it, we all know exactly where we were. I was watching the morning show and watched the planes crash into the towers, and horrifically scared. I mean, it's like, oh my God, we're under attack, and then to see all the people that died. I mean, it just hits your soul of the loss and all the bravery and all the people, and it was so horrifically sad. And we always thought of the United States as being kind of untouchable. We're tough. We're a strong nation, and that made me feel very very compromised. I mean, that could happen to us. And then to now, you go ahead all these years, and now to know that I'm fighting this communist company that's coming in, just bulldozing our community, and it's just not ours. That's my biggest thing is it's not us. We're uniting 10, 12 different communities right now because they're coming in with the same playbook. They come in, they buy out the supervisors that can be bought. They sign NDAs with everybody, and then they start these projects and take over all of our tax dollars with these projects. And it's like taxation with no representation. We're just getting hit with these big mega sites that we don't want in our communities, but you get a few township officials that are dirty that take the bribe, and all of a sudden you're having this company being built. I mean, Goshen was supposed to break ground of a year and a half ago, and we found out about it like literally a month before that was going to happen. And we fought hard. And many people have said, I didn't realize you were such a fighter and that you would do it. I said, I didn't want to be a fighter. I was very happy with my life. But when the fight is brought to you, you don't have a choice. You either stand up or you lose everything that you built your whole life for. And so standing up by yourself is very, very scary. And a lot of the times I go around and speak or do speeches for people and try to raise awareness to this problem. And I'm always telling people it's so scary to stand alone, but once you stand up, more people will stand with you because if you're doing the right thing, people are going to see it as long as you can put it in their. I mean, at first nobody could believe that this was happening. And we had to show them because it was all done so secretively that nobody knew what was going on until it was almost too late to stop it. And when we did find out about it, I joined forces with other people. We found people that had different skill sets. We got the message out. We held a big rally at my farm back in April of last year. And we had about 3,000 people that showed up. And it was a rally just to learn. Let me tell you what they're doing. I did one of the first interviews with Chuck Thielen, who was the vice president to Goshen. And we had three people that were interviewing him with me. I was three of us against him, and Jim Chapman was our county or township supervisor at the time. And he literally lied 5 or 6 times during a half-hour interview. And we would call him out on it. I said, "Well, are you a communist company? We don't know anything about you, so tell us about yourself." No, no, we're not communists, not at all. There's nothing about communism in anything to do with us. I'm like, "But you're from China." "Yep, that doesn't mean we're communists." And I said, "Wow," because we have the association bylaws right here, and number 4 of these state that you are a grassroots communist company. I said, and he goes, "Oh no, Laura, you got it all wrong." He goes, "That's Gotion Inc. We're Gotion North America." So I said, "Mr. Thielen," who was this guy that's their vice president, I said, "So you're saying that it's not the same people running it?" He goes, "No, they're completely different." I said, "Same owners?" "Nope, completely different owners." I said, "Okay," because I have a copy of those bylaws too. And those state that they are the exact same bylaws as the Gotion Inc. And I said, in fact, not only is the father and son, Lee Chen, and his son as well, they are not only just the communists, but they're directors of the CCP, 2 different communist parties, directors. I'm like, how in the world can you lie to the community like that? And then he lied about the community support. They kept saying they had 80 or 95% of the community backing them. That was never true. Never. As long as I was here, I was like, I don't want to fight this on my own. If you guys all want it here, have it. I'll move. Um, but when the community came together, we did our own surveys originally, and they came up at 90% against. And I'm like, oh my God, the whole community is against us. Well, then people like John Molinar stepped in, and Pete Hoekstra and all these other people, and they did independent surveys, and they came up at 95% against Gotion in our community. And I'm like, oh my God, they've been lying. They've been using the media against us, because our local Pioneer paper kept saying that, we were the minority and that they were the majority, and that everybody wanted them here, and that they were going to pay these,
Absolutely.
$65,000 a year jobs, which is absolute crap. It's 17
That's
bucks an
fake.
hour.
Yeah.
They said that they were gonna, have this 2,000-acre mega site. Well, we've got them shut right down to under 250 acres. They can't move forward. We've got a development agreement set where they can't get the changes made, so that they can't get the zoning they need. All these things that they said it just aren't true. They lied about the communist backing. They lied about the environmental hazards. Chuck Thielen was trying to tell our community that lithium wasn't dangerous. I'm like, not dangerous? It's a forever chemical that will kill forever. And you're trying to build it right on the number 3 aquifer in Michigan. And any lithium dust going into that, and it gets rained on, it's going to go right into the water, onto our water table, which will eventually go right into our Muskegon River, which goes to the Great Lakes. It'll pollute everything we have. And there's zero safeguards. Our last township people that put this in place, no safeguards for environment. Now they're trying to get $8 million to do new fire trucks because lithium is dangerous, and you can't put the fires out. And they want us to foot the bill for it. And it's like, are you kidding me? We don't want you here
So you have to pay to bring the company in that you didn't want in.
and then trying to force
You have to,
us.
absolutely.
It's horrible.
Taxation without
It
representation. I
was,
mean, this is like you almost had to become a muckraker
uh-huh.
to even learn what was happening in your community to then fight what was happening in your
And
community.
it's dirty all the way through. It doesn't just stop at Goshen. Our president of Ferris State University, his name is Bill Pink. He will lie to your face and tell you he has he doesn't care about Goshen. It doesn't even concern him. But yet he sits on the board of the MEDC and on the right place. Both of them are the places that decide where the money comes from Congress. And it's like, and you had the audacity to say that you didn't have anything to do with it. Yet when I went there to show, because they're pushing this thing where we need jobs, we need jobs. Well, we have 1,800 jobs here in Mecosta County that are not being used. I spent 4 days of my life going from factory to find out how many jobs were available everywhere. There are 1,800 jobs of over $16 an hour, up to $30 an hour, that nobody will take. So it's not that we need the jobs. And I went to the MEDC and said, please don't give us that money. We don't want them, and we don't need the jobs. We have jobs available. We're just not using. And he totally unanimously voted against me. And there were 150 people there saying the same thing as I was. And Bill Pink absolutely went against what we said. Now he's traveling all over the world with Whitmer. He went to Taiwan a couple weeks ago. It's like he's dirty as hell. All of these people that you think are supposed to be your checks and balances are dirty, and they're involved in this as well. They're getting paid off. And it just makes you sick, because you think that, like I told him, I said, why aren't you running Ferris? Ferris is down to a 54% graduation rate. I'm like, that's horrible, horrible. I go, you should be spending your time and energy running Ferris, is what you were hired to do, rather than involving yourself in politics with 95% of our community not wanting it here. And then he lies to everybody that'll talk to him about he doesn't have a relationship, and it's so evident that he does. And so the more that we find, the more dirt we find on all these people. So what we did is we started with the Green Township and all the people that were dirty there. I mean, there were people that took millions of dollars and continued to vote for Gotion. I mean, they got money from Gotion, and they continued to vote, and they never recused themselves, and they continued to vote it through, and then lie about it, say, oh no, we didn't vote, and then we go back and find who voted on the minutes. And sure enough, this man named Dale Jernstead voted repeatedly, even though he lied about it. And he got millions of dollars from Gotion for a piece. I think they sold him a less than 100 acres, and our rumor has it that he got paid $16 million for it. And it's disgusting. And yet he continued to push it through. So we recalled all of them that were available for recall, and we took them all out. And then this year, it was re-election time. We took over all the seats again except for one. And then we went to the Big Rapids Township, and we took that over. And then we now have the majority of the county commissioners, because what they do is when we would tie them up in one area, they jump to the next area. And then they jump to the county.
It's like whack-a-mole.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And so now we've got the majority of the county commissioners on our side. So we've got them really, really encompassed, where they can't really do anything. But it's horrible how dirty they are. And then when you hear about Elisa Slotkin jumping ship, I'm like, 2 weeks ago she was praising Gotion, and now all of a sudden we're going to believe that she's all of a sudden doesn't want Gotion. It's because she's losing the polls, and she's desperate. We don't believe her for a minute, not for a single minute. The people that have backed us have been John Molinar, Pete Hoekstra, Joe Sella, Lana Tice, Senator Lana Tice, our Representative Tom Kuntz, Mike Rogers. These people have been, obviously J.D. Vance. These people have been with us from day one helping us. And now they think that we're going to jump ship and go, oh my gosh, wow, she's on our side now? No, we know what that's about. Just the same way that the gas prices have gone down. The gas prices are horrible. You're just doing it because of the elections, 50 days away or whatever it is, But
let me ask you this, Lori, the timing of it, the bigness of it, the appearance that everyone who represents you is unanimous in favor of it. Why didn't you feel hopeless from the beginning?
I was never raised to give up. I was never raised to bully. I was raised to pick the underdog. And when everybody from the community came to me and literally were hugging me and crying, saying, please, Lori, your farm is the only thing separating them from going. They tried to get a 2,000 acre mega site, and I stopped them with my farm. They couldn't go north anymore. And then all the properties on the south side of that road, I turned them into EPA, but not EPA Michigan, because EPA Michigan is regulated by Whitmer, and they wouldn't do anything to help us. I called in Region 5 out of Chicago, and they came up and said, oh, absolutely not. You're not building anything here. So all those properties on the south side of 19 Mile Road the contracts were given back. So we got all of that. It was like, I don't know exactly, because they signed NDAs, but we're thinking it's about 600 acres that was given back to us to the town people that own the homes. They never closed on them. And they were so thankful. And it's like, when you see people, when I'm speaking and you see people holding up signs saying, thank you, Lori, you're our savior. We couldn't do this without you. And you get people just hugging you and blessing you and praying for you. it makes you want to fight harder. And everything that they've done to us, all we do is come back harder. They killed they threatened me and said, if you don't shut up, we're going to kill your horses. They did. They killed a mare with that was pregnant, due to have a baby in a week. That devastated me, absolutely devastated me. And then 3 days later, we found oil in my stallion's water. They tried to poison him, and he wouldn't drink it. He was pounding on it to let me know there was something wrong with the water. But they're dirty. Now I have hundreds of cameras on my farm all over where nobody can touch anything. But that's how vile they are.
So you had to go post 9/11 on your own property
Yeah.
and take this kind of security stance because now you have actual matters of life and death. Tell me more about this horse that was killed. Like, first of all, how many horses are on the farm? Like, did you lose one of two or like one of like 30 or
Yeah. No,
what happened?
I'm a Frisian horse breeder. So we used to have about 45 on the farm. Since that happened, I shipped about half of them off to another farm in Indiana that we have. It's not mine. My trainer lives there. So she's got a good portion of the horses, and we still have about 25 on the farm. But the 25 are heavily, I mean, we have people watching them all the time, and there's cameras on them all the time. So I don't feel that they're in danger anymore. And I've been very loud about the fact that they did this. And people, just our community, my God, if there's somebody that just pulls off the road, I've got calls going, hey, there's a white van in front of your farm, from the neighbors, from everybody, because they know what they're up to. And we haven't had any more problems. We really haven't.
It's like a modern neighborhood watch
It
almost.
is. It is. And I am so blessed to live in a community like this because I've always been a realtor here for 40 years, but I didn't know half the people that I know now. I mean, legitimately at our rallies, we'll have 3,000 to 4,000 people at them. And they are all so happy that we're fighting and that we're gaining momentum. And, at first people were scared to even put no Gotion signs in their yard because of the harassment from this group of 20 pro-Gotion people. They've always been the minority, but they were so loud we thought that we were the minority, you know what I mean? And then they bought off our local paper. So all anybody in the area heard is, oh, Gotion's coming and Gotion has the majority and Gotion's getting Renaissance land. They gave them 30-year tax-free Renaissance property. It's against the law. You can't even do 30 years, but Whitmer pushed 30 years down our throat. Tax-free for communist China. Doesn't help an
Because
American
everyone's kicking
company.
the can because people like Whitmer don't care what happens in Big Rapids.
No,
This isn't about Big Rapids. This is about
no.
positioning herself as some kind of job creator. These are all supposed to be resume lines that are used many years later when she has presidential ambitions.
Oh,
It has
disgusting.
incredibly little to do with you.
Oh, it's disgusting. She doesn't care. We reached out to so many Democrats. I bet I put 30 emails into her saying, "Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this for our community?" We live in a rural recreational area. We are not an industrial zone. The land they're trying to take goes against the master plan of our community. It's like they just decided they were going to come here and they're going to take it no matter what. Didn't matter what anyone said. And the creepy thing about the whole thing, one of the guys that's in our group worked at Ferris or works at Ferris, and he was asked to give like an orientation for the Chinese nationalists that were coming there by Bill Pink. And he took off the whole day because he was going to show them the community, the area, the rivers, the lakes, do the whole tour. And the Chinese nationalists are like, we don't care about that. All we care about knowing about is where that cybersecurity building is and if we can tour that. That's what and then it just clicked with me. I'm like, that's what this is about. They want to take our cybersecurity program and they want to be able to utilize and steal our secrets and whatever because we're connected to a satellite. We're only one of two places in the nation that's a teaching area. And that's what they're after. And so when we talked to John Molinar about it, he's like, oh, it's not if they will steal technology. It is they will steal it. There's no question about it. And so that's what this is about. They're coming to our community to steal whatever they can from this cybersecurity program. My daughter goes to Ferris, and I didn't even know they had a cybersecurity program. It just started last year, but yet they knew about it. That's creepy, absolutely creepy. And then the way this Chuck Thielen has lied. Oh my God, he's supposed to be the vice president The man has lied, 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 lied. Tried to tell me one day that there are no lithium fires. I'm like, oh my God, all you have to do is pull it up on your phone. Then he said lithium wasn't dangerous and he pretended to eat it. And I told him, I said, Chuck, I said, you don't think it's dangerous? I said, I'm going to make you a smorgasbord. Come to the next meeting and we'll have some lithium and magnesium and lead and cobalt. You can eat a couple spoonfuls of each one of us and show us how not dangerous it is. He hasn't been back to a meeting, not one. I call him every now and then.
Haven't seen Chuck since then
Nope, not
for
one.
reasons unknown, huh?
Yeah, but I call him and remind him I still have this group of chemicals that you should taste, and we want a good healthy taste of them. Let's do that. He won't do it. He tries to lie and make it look like it. Like he literally took a dry finger and put it on powder and went, "Look it, I ate it. There's nothing dangerous about this."
He did the dab from New York Undercover. I
Yeah.
remember seeing
It
that.
was
Yeah.
ridiculous. We're all laughing at him. We're like, that is such a joke, and it's ridiculous. And he has these chat with Chuck things because he won't come to meetings because he's booed out everywhere he goes. Everybody hates him, so he'll only do virtual meetings from his bedroom in his house. It's creepy. It's like you're a jerk, and then
From
he'll
his
answer
bedroom.
any questions, but he'll never answer our questions. We're like, why did you lie? Why did you do this? Why are we have 30 questions that are pertinent, and he'll never answer them. He just blocks us from answering questions or asking questions.
Talk about these NDAs and how you learned of their existence, because that's until honestly until Whitmer came around, this was not a thing you heard about in Michigan.
No, no,
A
it
government
shouldn't be.
official signing NDAs, and nor should it exist. It is gross. How'd you hear about it, and how'd you learn how widespread it is?
Well, when it first started, we were like, why in the world don't we know about this? Why wasn't this brought to a public vote? I mean, they had a $3 raise in the library cards, and that was on the ballot. But yet we have this mega site coming in that was supposed to be 2,000 acres of lithium and changing our whole community to an industrial zone, and we didn't know anything about it. Well, then Jim Chapman was the supervisor at the time. He said, well, I didn't sign an NDA, but I promise not to tell anybody because none of you guys need to know. I
Oh,
know
he pinky
I
swore.
know what's best for our community. So I
Okay.
swore and I never did tell anybody. Well, then the more you talk to people, we found out that Bill Pink has NDAs signed with local people in town that are supporting Gotion, which we know they're on their payroll, you know? And it's like, so you're signing NDAs now. And then you hear about Slotkin signing NDAs and Whitmer signing NDAs. It's like, how in the world can you possibly lead us when we don't even know what's going on because you have sold your soul to the devil? You have. When you don't listen to your constituents, you have no reason being one of our leaders, none whatsoever. That should be outlawed because how can you possibly let people be informed if you can't talk about it? It's horrible. And then we found out all these people were being manipulated to sell their homes and they had to sign NDAs. So I'm like, that can't happen. Well, then a lady called me and she goes, I'm a realtor. She goes, Lori, is there any way you can look at this? We can't let anyone know about it because we signed an NDA. They forced us to. It was either that or they're going to come in and contaminate the land and no one's going to buy our home. They gave us 8 hours to make a decision. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And so a lot of these people signed up, even though they were so scared because they told them that other people were signing up and they'd be the only ones left and they would never.
Social proof is a powerful drug.
It was terrifying for them. And these contracts were 150 pages long. A typical purchase agreement in Michigan is 8 pages at the most. These were this thick. I mean, literally that thick. And they expected them to look at them and sign them on a Saturday when they couldn't even get legal representation. Because the first thing I said is have an attorney look at it. They said, we don't have time. They only gave us till this weekend to get it done. I'm like, that's corrupt. And then the more you found out, everyone that they bought the land from signed an NDA. So it's like, oh, they are corrupt as all get out. They've literally lied about every single thing they've ever told us, from the wages to the size of the building to the how tall it was going to be to the communist backing. Just recently, they tried to jump up to Reed City, which is Osceola County. And Chuck Thielen said, oh, there's absolutely no way we've ever done that. You're all liars. You're conspiracy theorists. That was his last chat. Well, last night in one of the meetings, the man that they're buying the land from said, "Oh yeah, we've been working on this for 2 years. I'm definitely selling my land to Goshen. This has been in the process for 2 years." So right out of Chuck's mouth, he said, "Absolutely not. You're all lying." Because I found out about it months ago because we warned the Osceola people to get their zoning in place so that they could stop them from coming up there. And so they're all working on rezoning their communities and putting new planning boards in place to protect their communities, and they've got a big jump start on it. But he just came out yesterday and said, "Yep, they absolutely intend to sell to Goshen." The guy's just a creep, but he's got land up there, and that's his prerogative if he wants to sell. But the whole community hates him. They all hate him because it's like, we don't want this here. This is a toxic company, and there's environmentally, it's awful. Lithium kills within a 5 mile radius. So I mean, you're going to kill off wildlife, you're going to pollute the water. It's awful, and it doesn't come back for years and years and years. So it's like he just didn't care. But that just came out yesterday, so we'll be making a big fuss about that as well and telling them how bad they are. The Pioneer paper, lies, lies, lies. Chuck Thielen will come up there and lie, and they'll say, "Yep, there's no communist backing at all in this." We'll show them the association. They will not retract it. News 9 and 10 newspaper here.
It was not even clear to me that the Pioneer thing was an actual news outlet. I thought it was one of those like look-alike type deals
Mhm. Oh no, they're
because the
horrible.
news was so very slanted.
Oh, it's so slanted. They are left all the way, and they will not report real news. They only report lies. And anything Chuck Thielen says, they will report it like it's the gospel. And the damn thing that's so sad is a lot of these older people in this community believe that the news is real. And then,
Yes.
we come forth and say, "No, you're lying. Here's the proof." They won't retract it. No how, no way. So what we started doing over this last JD Vance thing, when he was coming, they knew that he was coming on Saturday. They posted in the Pioneer that Vance would be coming somewhere in Michigan the following week, like a week from when the rally was. I'm like,
Really?
"Really?" And then they thought they were going to come to my property and see the thing. I said, "No, we got a no trespass against the Pioneer on my property. You don't ever come on my property again." And then they're like, "Oh," and then everybody was complaining that they didn't cover it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, "Well, no," and this is why they didn't, because they put the wrong date. That the day before our rally, they put that it was the following week, and I said, "You're done." So now they've lost 200 to 300
If
subscriptions.
you did that about the election, you would be, jailed for voter fraud. I mean,
Oh,
that's election fraud,
I'll tell you what, that's what Jim Chapman did. When we were trying to recall him, he was telling people after people after people that the election was on a Thursday when the election was on
No.
Tuesday. Yep.
That is wildly. If you have that on paper, please send it to me.
Oh, well,
Jim, call your office, or I guess your former office, if you want to get ahead of this. But that doesn't sound good at all.
oh, I
Lori,
have people that come into my office left and right telling me that's what he told them. And I said, "If you question anything with the township, you come to me and I'll tell you if it's true or not. Because you can't believe a word they say, not a single solitary word." And luckily we got rid of them. You know what I mean? And we showed the lies, and we just kept showing the lies. And the community's like, "Oh my God, we would have never believed that." I'm like, "Well, we have the proof and we'll continue to show the proof." And we've been told that we're like David and Goliath over and over because we're the little guys. We're fighting a multi-billion-dollar company, and yet we're winning. You know what I mean? We're winning. It's a grassroots movement of a lot of people stepping forth now, and we're getting together, and there's thousands of us. And now, not only our group, but like Mantino is coming forth. Marshall, Michigan's coming forth. When we have something, they come to our events, we go to their events. We're all helping with the same attorneys to fight them because there are certain things you need to do to fight them because they can't pass a CFIUS review. They violate the child labor laws on top of everything else that they do that's crooked, you know? And they were never vetted. Our politicians never vetted them, not 1 ounce of vetting. Otherwise, they would have never let them come here to begin with. And it's all over these stupid EV batteries that do not even work. Nobody wants the damn things. All the car dealerships are going broke with them because they don't work. Nobody wants this overpriced junk. They don't work in our area. When it's cold here, the batteries lose.
oh yeah,
It's
oh
evil.
yeah.
And then there's nowhere to get rid of the batteries. The cars are too heavy, so they go through the guardrails. Our roads can't handle them. but yet they're pushing this crap down our throat that nobody wants. And it makes you wonder, what kind of deals did they make with the Chinese to push this through, and how much money are they making? Because nobody would do this. Nobody would make these mandates like Whitmer has done to us. It's sick. It's absolutely sick.
Now, you just mentioned the David and Goliath story, and I love that story. It's one of my favorites. And in that story, David said that he knew he could beat Goliath. He'd fought off lions and bears when he was a shepherd. So he was training for Goliath long before he ever met the man. What were the lions and bears that trained you for this fight?
I'll tell you, the biggest one was my divorce. I had a divorce in 2010, and it lasted for years. The guy just was relentless. He would not let me get divorced.
Years.
Oh, it went on for 4 years.
It wasn't one of those 6 months,
No.
just sign a form. I mean,
Oh, God,
Alyssa
no.
Slotkin told her husband, filed the papers on February 1st. They were divorced by March 1st.
I wish. No. He was,
Zip in, zip out.
nope, it was, it well, cost me my whole life savings and 4 years of brutal hell is all I can say. But you know what? I made it through that, and I raised my daughters by myself. And and they were raised good. They both are. One's already graduated. One's in the pharmacy program. I'm proud as all get out of those girls, and we did it on our own. Didn't and after that, I raised them on my own. He was not involved in their lives, and that prepared me for this. I mean, that fight and they'll being in court every other week. It made, and I at the time I wondered. I'm like, why am I doing this? This is horrible. But you know what? It
Right.
prepared you for the fight, because the more they come after us, the harder we fight back. And the group that's with us, they are strong, and everybody has a talent. It's unreal. You have a psychiatrist in the group. You have media people in the group. You have I'm just trying to think of. We have a computer tech guy that's unbelievable. We have all these people that put all their talents together, and we're able to do media blasts. We're able to do all these things to show like all the truths that we have found. Because if
Right.
it's one thing to find the truth, but if you can't get it out to the people, then they don't believe it.
You need that distribution
Yeah.
network.
And
Absolutely.
so we have people that are creative, they make flyers, and they all do it for free. None of us are paid. It's totally a grassroots movement, which means that we're all so passionate about it that we're going to see this through. We're going to win. I believe it 100%. And then when we do win, I'm going to help other communities. We've already vowed to help as many people as we can, because we don't want this to happen to any other people ever, because it's brutal. It's awful. It disrupts your whole life. Our township has been forced into federal court right now, and it's ungodly expensive. And it's nothing that any of us wanted. We had a wonderful life here. And they just, you got government overreach. Right after I did my first rally, one of the pro Gotion people turned me in and said my farm was a contaminating and everything. And agriculture and rural development came to my farm and tried to shut me down. And I'm like, if that isn't government overreach, I don't know what is. And keep in mind, let's just follow the names here. That Thielen, Chuck Thielen, we call him China Chuck Thielen. He's the vice president. He's the vice president. He said he had no idea who the right place. His name is Randy Thielen. Chuck Thielen, Randy Thielen. Doesn't know him. Well, we look up on Facebook and there's a picture of him and Randy hugging the year before. I'm like, wow, Chuck lies again. Another one. Well, the guy who signed the papers from rural development and agriculture and rural development, his name's Jared Thielen. What are the chances? And then, it goes so much deeper than that. It's like,
That's incredible.
I know.
That's incredible.
And it's
Hell of a coincidence, right?
Yeah. And they were all put in place. They were appointed their positions within the last 3 to 4 years. So you can't tell me this hasn't been a long-term plan. And it's awful and it's disgusting. And there's no way that we should be going through this. No way should China be buying up our farmland. They control the food. They control us. I don't understand how people don't see that. And it's awful because they're coming in everywhere, buying up all these large parcels of land. That's why I hope to God Trump gets elected, because he's going to make a stop to it. They're already in court right now. The House of Representatives is putting things into place, and it just passed that China wasn't going to buy land anymore. It'll never pass the Senate. We know that, but at least people are coming our way and understanding how awful this is, and the only way that it's going to happen is getting media attention. And we have gotten a lot of media attention. All I've done is interviews and interviews and interviews. We had people from the UK yesterday. People from Germany flew in, and I'll be doing interviews with them tomorrow. People from Japan are coming in, and I'm meeting them on Friday. So, I mean, at least people in the world are starting to take note of what's happening and know that we can stand up and we can fight. Just takes a few people to stand up, and then pretty soon you'll have a lot of people behind you.
You talked about how, with what you've learned, you're applying that forward, helping other communities. Is there anything? I live in Metro Detroit. I'm surprised something like Goshen wouldn't be happening here, given our industrial background. Is there anything a community could do to pre-fortify itself so that a Goshen couldn't just come in like a battering ram?
What what people have to have are planning boards in place. And a lot of people are like, "Oh, it's no big deal. Just let the county handle it." Well, it is a big deal if the county's dirty. And and a lot of good people, and I'm telling you, people that I've known for years that I thought were good people that we've recalled, uh, they're dirty. They're absolutely dirty. And when they're given money, it's like all of a sudden you give money and power, and all of a sudden these people are not even recognizable anymore. They could care less about the community. We watched Jim Chapman take 4 to 5 hours of people abusing him. Public comment, you get 400 people angry at a meeting. Those meetings would go till 11 o'clock at night. And he would take all of their bullshit and screaming and yelling and telling them what a piece of shit he was, sorry. But he would go over and over and over, all these people angry, and then literally go to the next day and to the appropriations committee and go, "Oh my God, my community loves me. 95% of everybody wants us here." I'm like, "You are the biggest liar I've ever met in my life. We just harassed you for 6 hours straight, and you know the
Right.
community doesn't want you here, and yet you said all those lies." I was dumbfounded. I couldn't believe that he went right on TV and said that. And so did some of our county commissioners. So therefore, they're not county commissioners anymore. We voted them out, But if money and greed, it's like you can't really put anything in place other than to know who your people are. And I was never been to a township or a county meeting in my life ever. I was,
Right. Right.
I've been called a right wing Republican, and I said, I am a delegate now. Only this year. This is the first year I've ever been a delegate, and it's because the Republicans helped me. No environmentalist people helped me. I called 39 different environmental groups from, the trout people, the Whitetails Unlimited, to Eagles, the Muskegon Watershed. All of them wouldn't return calls because they're worried about their funding getting canceled from Whitmer. Now, and they would call me and tell me that and say, "Well, we'll just
And
keep
so
it
even
up."
the people who aren't in support of this are compromised by the power and by the money,
Yep.
and which makes you as good as a supporter.
Well, that's what I said. I said, "So what kind of an environmentalist are you? If you don't have heart in what you're doing, and you're saying you know that they're going to contaminate our whole area, and you don't care because you're worried about the money more than anything else, corrupt.
Right.
Oh my God, corrupt all the way around." But it's disgusting to hear them talk about wanting to preserve the Muskegon River while they're also saying, "Yeah, Goshen's a great idea," when they know it drains right into the river. They are bought and paid for by Gotion. And it's disgusting. We even FOIA'd their information, so we know that they were talking back and forth and promised Gotion that they would go with them and not go against them. They were supposed to speak at my rally, and then they canceled the night before, and we didn't understand it. So I FOIA'd them, and sure enough, they were on the take all along. And then he even said that Gotion gave them money and paid their wages a year in advance. Now I don't have proof of that. We only saw the FOIA information of what he said. He goes, "I'm on your side all the way. You know I'll do what I'm supposed to do." I'm like, wow. But we're finding that kind of stuff all over the place.
That's like something out of a dystopian
It
movie
is. It is.
where you just look at your neighbors and look at your representatives and you don't recognize them anymore.
Mm-mm.
It's like they're wearing masks, ugly
Ugly
masks.
mass. Just horrible, awful people. and they don't seem to care. They're still on their payroll, so they don't care. They're going to do whatever it takes. They'll slam people. They'll ruin people's businesses. They'll ruin people's reputations. One of our people goes to a Catholic church. They even went to the father at the Catholic church and tried to get him to shut him down. I'm like, what level
No.
will you not go to stop? You're going to bring religion into it and try to prosecute him religiously? Seriously? It makes me sick. It absolutely makes me sick.
Who are these people?
They're people.
Who does this stuff?
One of them's running for state representative. Her mother owns a shop here in town, and she has been pro Gotion from day one. But when you look into these people, they all have a common thing involved. They owe money, a lot of money to people. When we looked up that particular person that owns the shop in town, she lost her building 2 years ago, and she owes thousands and thousands of dollars on a tax lien. So, oh, there you go. Then her daughter's running for state representative, and she's just as dirty and lies just as bad as the rest. And then that same person signed an NDA with Bill Pink. I mean, it's all connected. When you sit back and look at the corruption and what they've done, and they won't talk about it. They're like, nope, I'm not talking about that. Well, they can't. They signed an NDA. But the fact that they signed an NDA shows that they're getting money from him and they're dirty, But all of them have the same thing. They need money, or they'll lie. There's another person that just ran who completely is a Democrat, left-wing Democrat, ran on the Republican ticket. I'm like, are you kidding me? You know that you don't belong here. She goes, you can't take me off though, and I'll do whatever I can. So they're very proud of the fact that they're going to run on our ticket, but yet know that they're left wing. I mean, at the fair, they were horrible. They harassed our booth. They harassed our people. They wouldn't let people come to our booth to get information. They made like a human block around our booth. It was horrible. It was like these people are just nuts. And you sit there and shake your head and go, we would never act that way. We're not classless like that. We tried to get the police involved. They wouldn't do anything because it was at a county fair. It was just, I can't even describe it. It's just awful. And the thing is, we know we're right. We know we're in the right. And I think when you're in the right and you have God on your side, you're going to win. You know what I mean? We're not doing anything for money. We're doing it for the right thing for the community. When Gotion first came here, they'll deny this all day long, but the same vehicle came to my house and offered me $22 million for my farm. My farm might be worth $1 million on a good day. You know what I mean? I told the guy to get the heck off my farm. And I said, that's a disgrace that you're using our tax dollars and overpaying for property 20 times the market value. You're a disgrace. And they don't care. Why would they care? That's not their money. For this Gotion project, they've got about $175 million just in money right now. And it's like they don't care what they're spending or how they're overspending, because it's not their money. It's our taxpayer dollars. And now we're fighting to keep our schools open and to fix our roads because we don't have money. And they want to raise our taxes. I'm like, oh my God, the money that you just pilfered away to the communists, and now you want to tax us more? What in the heck? None of it makes sense. It's a disgrace is what it is. We're just absolutely fed up. But we're not going to end here. Like we took over the township. Then we took over the other township. Now we took over the county commissioners. We're not going to end. We're going to keep going up. And now,
I was just about to ask, like, is this thing ultimately going to be built, or have you effectively stopped it?
I think we've stopped it.
And we'll get you out of here on that one.
Yeah, I'm hoping that we stopped it. And I know darn well if Trump becomes elected, they will not come in. They will not. They already said that they're not moving forward with anything until the election. So that means they're scared of Trump, which I'm so proud of him. It's like, you go, Trump, get him, protect us. He's the one that can do it. So.
Absolutely. Lori, where can people find more about you? Are you on social media, anything like that? Where can people learn about the No on Gotion cause?
I definitely am. We have, if you go on Facebook, Lori Kalka-Brock is my Facebook. I also have Majestic Frisians, which is a website. And we also have a group called protectmacosta.org. And that is a group where you can, donate money if you want to help us with our cause. It's tax free. And a lot of people will donate money to help us. They know that this This lawsuit is really expensive, and we are like the leading. Nobody has ever done this before, so everybody in the nation's watching us right now to see how this pans out. And I'm hoping that we win so that we can set a precedent so everybody else will fight back and not just think we can't do anything, because that was the way everybody said, well, there's nothing we can do. Yeah, there is. We can stand up and we can fight. And that's what we've done. And we've been showing people that it's working. One election at a time, it's working. We just got to keep going up the ladder and keep getting to the people that make a difference. And obviously, if you've got Democrats changing like Slotkin, my God, if they're changing over, we're definitely hitting a nerve. And they know that Goshen is a toxic subject for everybody on on every level. Be it if you back them, you're going to lose your election. If you back them, the dealerships are going to fall away from you because nobody wants these stupid EVs. It's like Goshen is just a bad name right now. And I'm so glad, because without the media coverage we've gotten, we would not be where we're at right now, for sure.
Awesome. Lori, thank you so much for taking the time.
You got it. Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.